like doing the work, or is it just you talking?
No, doing the work. You'll see in a minute. Oh, it's recording. Okay. Sorry. Okay. We're gonna start, ladies. We're gonna start with number 2. Well, y'all, you may not. I can do it super fast.
Do it on your own. Go ahead.
Alright, so since this one's a proportion, then I can find the cross product, right? You can still find the least common denominator and cancel the fractions if you want to. You can do that, but because it's a proportion, you can find the cross product. So to do that, I would do 8 times x minus 1 equals 2 times 3x minus 2. And then, of course, we just distribute to get rid of the parentheses. So that's 8x minus 8 equals 6x minus 4. And on this one, I don't have a quadratic term and a linear term. I just have the linear and constant. So I can just solve for the variable. So I'll subtract 6x from both sides. That gives me 2x minus 8 equals negative 4. Add 8 to both sides of the equation. And 2x equals 4 divided by 2, and x equals 2. And remember, you want to make sure that your denominators, whatever answer you get, if you substitute it back in the denominator, make sure it's not going to give you a 0 in the denominator. Otherwise, what kind of solution is it? What do we call it? Extraneous. Is this one extraneous? Extraneous. Nope, we're good. Do I need to do number 3?
No. Alan, you have number 3.
He's just trying to waste time. You said number 6 I need to do, right? Okay. Let me see if I can make my head a little smaller here. Okay, we said in class what the least common denominator was. And it was 2x and x plus 7. So we'll multiply every term by 2x and x plus 7. And by doing that, that will allow us to clear the fractions. Is anybody confused? Okay, so I'm going to cancel where I can. 2x and 2x cancel. X plus 7 and x plus 7. And over here, the x, and I can't cancel it from x plus 7 because that's a binomial, but I can cancel it from the monomial because remember you can just cancel pieces, but just the x goes away. So what am I left with? X plus 7 times 1, which we know is just x plus 7. And then I have plus 2x times 3 is 6x. Equals, I have 2 times x plus 7 times negative 1. Well, I can go ahead and multiply 2 and the negative 1 together, right? They're monomials, so that gives me negative 2. And then I'll come back and distribute it to x plus 7. Cool beans? Is anybody confused? What? What did I do that confused you?
All of
So I have x, oh look, right here, x and 6x. I can go ahead and combine that to get 7x plus 7 equals negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times positive 7 is negative 14. Now I'm just solving for x. Y'all are all confused on this one. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, a lot of us had different answers. Right now I'm on the right track.
All right. So it looks like I'm going to get a fraction, and that's okay. Fractions have feelings too. Alan, seriously? So negative 21 ninths, or if you turn into a decimal, it's fine too. or an mixed?
I got that one right.
Negative 14 minus 7.
Is this -3?
What? Reduce it? Make it smaller? Because it's too big?
Divided by 3 everything.
You need to see the top?
No, she meant can you reduce it to anything smaller?
Oh!
Yes.
I thought you wanted me to make the print smaller.
-7/3.
Yes, you can reduce the fraction. Sorry, I wasn't
In the test-
comprehending.
In the test, do you want us to reduce it or keep it as it is?
I mean, you should always reduce the fraction. But if you can at least get to negative 21/9, I'm happy with that. But you should always reduce the fraction.
Okay.
Just as a good rule, general math rule of thumb. Okay, number 7. I did part of this with you, and I did this with my 3rd period class. Didn't we talk about the quadratic formula last week in here? And we listened to the song? Okay, you're gonna have to use the quadratic formula on this problem. So did we not end up doing this problem together?
No, you just finished. You did something.
Okay.
You just factored it and then that was it.
Okay. So we factored this denominator. We did the t-chart divide and slide, right? And we said that it factored into x plus 3 times x minus 2.
Yes.
All right, so what's the least common denominator? X plus 3 and x minus 2. We already did all this together.
Just that.
Yeah. When she told me to slow down, I said we already did this part. Okay, so I'm going to multiply every term by x plus 3 and x minus 2. And again, we do that so that we can clear the fractions. Trying to get rid of the fractions and then solve for x. Okay? So, cancel everywhere you can. So in my first term, x plus 3 divided by x plus 3, that's 1, or we say it cancels. The x minus 2 cancel. In the second term, my denominator is 1, so nothing will cancel, and I'll have to multiply all this together. And then my last term, x minus 2 and x minus 2 cancel. Right on? Crouton. So in the first one, the only thing I have left is a 5. So 5 equals. Over here, I would probably distribute the x plus 3 and the x minus 2. And then once I do that, I would distribute the 2. Okay? So I get x squared minus 2x plus 3x minus 6. And that 2 I'll put out there and I'll distribute it in a minute. And then plus, over here I have x plus 3 times x minus 3. So I'm going to have to FOIL that, distribute it. So x times x is x squared minus 3x plus 3x minus 9.
Where'd you get the first two? The 5. I know you had the 5, but where'd you get the equals to?
This 2 right here, I multiplied by the least common denominator, okay? So that's this 2. But what I did was I just put the 2 out front, and then I'm going to FOIL all that together, and then I'll go back and distribute the 2 to whatever I get, okay? But before I do that, I can simplify inside those parentheses, so I'm going to do that. So 5 equals 2 times x squared negative 2x plus 3x is plus x minus 6 plus x squared, negative 3x plus 3x is 0, and then don't forget your minus 9. This problem is cray cray. So now I'll go back and I'll distribute this 2 to what's inside the parentheses. So I have 5 equals, that'll be 2x squared plus 2x minus 12 plus x squared minus 9. On the right side, I do have some like terms. I'm going to combine those. So 5 equals 2x squared plus x. What y'all zip it? 3x squared plus 2x, and then minus 12 minus 9 is minus 21. Now on this one, I'm going to have a quadratic term and a linear term. So I can't just like isolate the x and solve for it, right? I'm going to have to either factor, do completing the square, or the quadratic formula. I'm going to try to factor, but regardless of which one I do, I'm going to move this 5 over here to get it set equal to 0 and in standard form. Alan? So, is there a GCF? I'm going to try to factor it.
I think there isn't.
There is not. You are correct. So, A equals 3, B equals
2,
and C equals negative 26. Now, if I were going to factor this, make my little T-chart, short and stout. Here is my handle. Here is my spell. I need two numbers that multiply together to get A times C, which is 3 times negative 26. So that's negative 78. And add to get B, which is positive 2. And I already tried this earlier, and it's not factorable. Does that mean we can't solve it? No. Either the quadratic formula or completing the square. It's not factorable. I'm going to do the quadratic formula. Do y'all remember the song?
A equals B squared plus times B plus negative
Yeah, alright, I know the song.
Oh,
over 2A.
I'm going to say no. That's not it. But are you going to sing it for me? No. Come on. Alan, can you sing it?
Yeah, he's singing it.
All right.
Sing it.
I'll sing it. X equals negative B plus or minus square root B squared minus 4AC all over 2A.
I just said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember learning that.
Yeah.
It's just that part.
Just that part?
Yeah.
Just the yeah part?
Yeah.
Oh.
I just said that, Miss Rayleigh. You said it was wrong.
No, I don't think that's what he said. All right, X equals opposite of B. If B is 2, I plug it in, substitute it in, I get negative 2 plus or minus the square root of B squared, so that's 2 squared minus 4 times A is 3 times C is negative 26 all over, don't forget the denominator, 2 times A, so that'd be 2 times 3. Coolio? So X equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared is 4. Now remember, do the minus 4AC part all together. Don't do 4 minus 4, 0. Subtraction does not come before multiplication, right? So I'm going to multiply this all together, even the signs. So I have negative 4 times 3 times negative 26, and that gives me positive 312. All over 6. Justin, you got this? So that's x equals -2 plus or minus the square root of 4 plus 312 is 316 all over 6. Now, I don't think 316 is a perfect square, and that's okay. We can put it in decimal form, okay? Sometimes you'll even just see it left like this in radical form. But say if you're graphing, remember when you solve a quadratic, graphically that tells you where your parabola crosses the x-axis, okay? So if you wanted to know where that was, it's probably easier to turn it into a decimal than -2 plus or minus the square root of 316 over 6. I would just turn it to a decimal, okay? So my calculator, square root of 316 is, we're going to go with 17.78. This is a good one. That's a good one. This one shows me a lot of your math skills, whether you know them or not.
You'll know that I haven't done.
Alan, will you come up here and sit, please? Now, I can simplify this further because this is two answers. This is -2 plus 17.78 divided by 6, and it's also -2 minus 17.78 divided by 6, okay? So we're going to simplify that further. I'm going to write it as two separate.
But just know that I was following along.
And then I can just do, that's going to be 15.78 divided by 6. .63 approximately. And this -2 minus 17.78 would be -19.78. Then divide that by 6. And that is approximately 3.3. Negative 3.3. Yeah. All my pencils have been used. Oh, you can sharpen it. Yes, I thought you wanted a pencil, and I had hundreds, and I have none. Somebody didn't. Anybody have questions on number 7?
Many, but okay.
Now we need to be learning this, guys, because we've done several days on this, and we're still not sure.
You don't have like a step by step.
They're all different. So it's hard to do like a step by step because they're all, I mean, you've seen the ones we've done, they're all different. So that's what makes it difficult, because they're all different, right? And it's hard to make a step by step guide because why? They're all different. Is it a long problem? I haven't worked it yet. I'm not sure. Okay, we already said last class that our least common denominator is x and x minus 3, right? None of my denominators can be factored. So if they could, then I would factor them first, but I can't. So my LCD, I'm going to multiply every term by the LCD to clear the fractions. And then I'll go through and I'll cancel any factors that I can. And then I'll see what I have left. So my first term, I have x times 2, which we know is 2x. It says plus. X minus 3 times 1 is just x minus 3. Equals, I have x times x minus 1. I can go ahead and distribute that now. So x times x is x squared, and x times negative 1 is negative 1x, or just negative x. Right on? Have I done anything yet that you don't understand? Okay. So I can see I've got quadratic terms and linear terms. So I'm not just going to be able to isolate and solve for x. I'll have to either use factoring, quadratic formula, or completing the square. So over here, real quick, I have 2x plus x is 3x minus 3 equals x squared minus x. And since my quadratic term is on the right side and it's already positive, and it's going to be my leading coefficient, right? I want it to stay positive. Then I'm going to move the 3x and the negative 3 over to the right so that that stays positive. So I'll subtract 3x, and I will add 3. So that I have 0 on the left side. And on the right side, the x squared, I'm going to drop it like it's up. So give me x squared. What's negative x minus 3x? Negative 4x. So that's 3. So we've got a quadratic trinomial. To solve, factor. Factoring doesn't always work. Quadratic formula always works. Completing the square always works. But I'm thinking I might be able to factor this one. Is there a GCF? Nope, not today. A is 1, B is negative 4, and C is positive 3. Make your little T-chart, short and stout. We need two numbers that multiply together to give us A times C. A times C is positive 3. And then add to give us B, which is negative 4. Yes.
3 times negative 1.
Let's try it. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. What's negative 3 plus negative 1? Negative 4. Boom. That's going to work, right? So my factors are x minus 3 and x minus 1. Do I need to divide and slide? No, because A is 1. If A is any number other than 1, then yes, we do need to divide and slide. So now that I've factored, I still haven't solved. What am I going to do to solve? Set them equal to 0. Set x minus 3 equal to 0. And set x minus 1 equal to 0. So over here, x equals 3. We add 3 to both sides. And over here, x equals positive 1. Wait.
It doesn't work.
Oh, why is that, Julissa?
Exorcism.
It's not exorcism.
Exorcist.
No exorcist. Extraneous. There's no exorcist in math. It is extraneous. Nice. Because if you take 3, substitute it in right here. 3 minus 3 is 0. Can't have 0 in the denominator. So we did our math correctly, but when we go and substitute this back in the problem, it's not a true statement, so we cannot say that 3 is a solution. If we substitute 1 into our denominator, will it give us a 0 anywhere? No, so 1 is good to go. Cool beans? Cool beans. Anybody have a question? Why is it easy when I do it? No.
Because you're walking us step by step and you're telling us what's on your mind, and we have stuff on our mind that is totally wrong. So,
Basically.
you just lead us in the right direction.
All right.
You are our flashlight.
I like it. I've never been called a flashlight before.
Yeah,
I think that's.
but a battery.
Oh, my batteries are out. All right, number 9, we said our least common denominator was x and x minus 4. So I'm going to multiply, of course, every term. Nothing can be factored, right? So I'm going to multiply every term by the LCD. Cancel what I can. And then each term I'll multiply whatever's left. So I've 10 times x minus 4. So if I distribute that, that'd be 10x minus 40, right? Right, Miss Rayleigh. Over here, now I can multiply these monomials together. X times 3 is 3x.
Wait, why don't you do x squared?
I can, and then multiply by 3. I can do that too. Doesn't matter. But I just prefer to multiply those together, and then I'll distribute 3x, okay? So 3x times x, that's going to be positive 3x squared, and 3x times negative 4 would be negative 12x. Equals, over here, x times x plus 9. So x times x is x squared. X times positive 9 is positive 9x. Right on? Root on. Okay, on the left side, I have some like terms I can combine. I do too. 10x and negative 12x. So I'll worry about bringing stuff over in a minute. I'm going to put that 3x squared first. What is 10x minus 12x?
Negative 2x.
You know it. And then don't forget your minus 40 equals x squared plus 9x. My quadratic terms, 3x squared, that's going to be my leading coefficient, and it's positive. So I want to bring this x squared over here so that it remains positive. So I'll move everything to the left. So I have 0 on the right. 3x squared minus x squared is 2x squared. Minus 2x minus 9x is minus 11x. And don't forget to bring down the minus 40. Some may say you're going to drop it like it's hot. I may say. Yes. All right, we have a quadratic. Are we going to be able to factor that? Two terms that multiply together to get negative 80 and add to get negative 11. Anybody think of anything off the top of their head?
No, I'm thinking. Wait, they have to add together to get 11?
No, add to get, yeah, negative 11. Multiply to get negative 80. Add to get negative 11. Well, negative 8 times 10 is negative 80, but negative 8 plus 10 is 2. No combination of 2 and 40 will work.
Wait, what's 8 divided by 5? I mean 80 divided by 5.
16.
I don't know what I'm doing. Nah, no, it's not factorable. It's just one
Hold on. No, that, oh yeah, that won't work. Because if you did negative 16 times 5, that's negative 80. Negative 16 plus 5 is...
Negative 11. It's 11. What did I say? I said 5.
You said 5, and then you go, nah, that's not going to work. That works. Woohoo! Negative 16 and positive 5. Good job, Julissa. So we've got x minus 16 and x plus 5. By doing a quick check, first times first is not giving me first, last times last is not giving me last. What's the problem?
There's the 11. Wait. The negative 40. You need to move it over, right?
I did. What have we not done?
You made what you call it?
Divide and slide. Remember, A is 2. If A is any number other than 1, we have to divide and slide by A. 16 halves, is that going to be a divide or a slide? Divide, so it gives me x minus 8. 5 halves, divide or slide? Slide it on over, put it in front of the x, and what do you get? There we go. Quick check. X times 2x is 2x squared. Negative 8 times 5 is negative 40, right? But have we solved? No, we've only factored. Yes, so I'll set each factor equal to 0. X minus 8 equals 0, so x is 8. 2x plus 5 equals 0 is going to be negative 5 halves. Subtract 5, divide by 2, right? Will either of those give me a 0 in the denominator if I substitute it back in? No, so we should be good. It's 12:11 and we don't get out till 12:18. We have time, hopefully, to get number 10 done. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. That time went fast, huh?
Yeah, really good.
Time flies when you're having fun. What's my LCD? X minus 3 and x minus 5. See if I can squeeze it in up here. Oops, x minus 3. So x minus 3 cancels, x minus 5 cancels, x minus 5 cancels. Well, we might not get this one done. We're going to try. So I'm just going to rewrite this so I don't have a big jumbly mess. I'm going to go fast, okay, y'all? So I'm going to distribute all this out. So I get x squared plus 3x minus 5x minus 15 plus x squared minus 3x equals x squared minus 3x plus 5x minus 15. On the left side, what's x squared plus x squared? 2x squared. Positive 3x minus 5x is negative 2x, minus 3x is negative 5x, and then minus 15 equals x squared, negative 3x plus 5x is plus 2x minus 15. I need to get it set equal to 0 and in standard form. And I'm going to keep recording this even if time runs out, so if you will, just hold on to it till next class. Yeah, hold on to it. So 2x squared minus x squared is x squared minus 7x. Oh, this actually we're going to get done right now. Because to factor this, there's only these two terms left, right? Is there a GCF? X. So when I factor out x, what's left? X minus 7. There's no more factoring that can be done. So when you set each factor equal to 0, you have x equals 0 and x equals 7. Neither one of those will give you a 0 in the denominator. Good to go. That went faster than I expected. Hold on.
Good afternoon, teachers. If you'll take a few moments at this time to look over the email that